Hey, good evening, Munson here. It's the Portugal Club on the fourth Wednesday of the month, and this is something of a prelude to our Wine and Wine Club, which is a little bit informal and is a way of people hanging out together, being a bit of a Q&A, being a bit of a support group, being a bit of a place to get things off your chest and connect with other people who are on the adventure, who are making their journey to have a new life here in Portugal. Now, it's apparent to me that something a little bit more formal is required than that, and we have the solution. We have the solution. We've been talking about it for a little while. I've been aware of the need for something a little bit more formal, something a little bit more professional, something that really can go deep if people need that. And here to talk about it with me tonight is Aviva. So good evening to you, Aviva. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi. Hi.
Now, you and I have known each other for a little while, and I think probably even before you came to Portugal, we talked about this idea, didn't we?
Oh, well, lots was happening, in I think I know you since about end of 2021.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been that long.
And I discovered, I think, in our early conversations that you have a psychotherapeutic counselling background, and even then, I think I was saying to you that could be so helpful to people when you finally settle in Portugal. And here you are. Could you tell us a little bit about that journey and where you are now in Portugal?
Oh, sure. I mean, you were one of the first people I met way back when, and did a scouting trip in 2021, and I ended up deciding on Madeira,
Wow.
and that's where I live. And there are times I'm thinking, be nice to be on the mainland, but it
Mhm.
my home is here right now, so I'm kind of committed, and
Wonderful.
it's a beautiful place, so I'm not complaining.
So
And
you are joining us live from Madeira, from Funchal tonight, right?
not Funchal, my
Oh,
little town of Caniço.
oh, okay.
It's a 15-minute bus ride to Funchal,
Ah,
but I'm a
okay.
little outside of Funchal, and
Right.
uh, yeah, and it's a little bit higher in altitude. It's not at the water level. I'm higher up, and but I have an amazing ocean view, and
Wonderful.
that's the beauty of living higher up. It's a little cooler, but you know, um, but I think we should. So that's what got me here, and the interest in Portugal for a lot of reasons. For an American to come, there's just so many things that you talk about all the time, and why people choose Portugal over maybe other places. And certainly at that time, the NHR was a reason for Americans especially, and also uh, everything else is pretty true. Integrating was much easier than maybe other countries would be. The people here are so wonderful. They're
Mm.
patient with you about the language. Just so many things, I think, made this choice correct, because Portugal's a lovely place to be.
Yeah, thank you for that. And if people ask very nicely, you might answer some questions about Madeira itself and that particular life choice when it comes to moving to Portugal. But the main business tonight is to share this idea of the New Beginnings Expats. Excuse me, I'm still recovering from a little bit of a fluey episode over the weekend, and there's a little remnant of it. Yeah, main idea tonight is to talk about the New Beginnings Expat Support Group, and I think it's an idea whose time has come, perhaps long overdue. And I made reference to our what used to be a weekly and is now a monthly meeting where people could get things off their chest, get questions answered, and have a moan really about some of the aspects of life in Portugal that weren't so favourable or a little bit challenging. And there's a place for that, of course. However, there's a place for something that's, I think, a whole lot more formal and professional than that. And I think that's what you're proposing. So could you tell us a little bit more about that and how it might operate?
Okay. So I have a lot of experience running all kinds of groups. So I understand the group process really well.
Hmm.
And unlike an informal moan session, so to speak, a support group really has a structure, with Unlike a therapy group, there's different levels, but unlike a therapy group, there's not necessarily a treatment goal involved, but there is a structure involved. So
Mhm.
at the beginning, all groups begin with the group deciding what the group norms are going to be, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable to the people who are part of the group. And that would be the first session to kind of figure out what people want and just ground rules so that everybody feels comfortable and safe. Initially, I'll have a one-on-one with anybody who wants to join, and that's just for the purpose of us getting to know each other, and I understand who the people are that constructs the group.
Yes.
Um, so a support group, the purpose is a place for people to come and share things they find are difficult or challenging, and they're not really prepared to necessarily just talk about it with anybody.
Right.
There are some things that people struggle with that with the adjustment coming here or other personal things as they live their life here that that may not be suitable for acquaintance kind of conversation. And we're all making new friends and getting to know people, and it may not be appropriate for those people to process those things with those people. And so support group would be a nice way for people to come and bring their concerns, and maybe they're a little stuck, maybe um, they're needing some emotional encouragement. They need to be heard, and this would be a place for that. And not so much a moan session, but what is the trouble? What is going on? And for somebody to just be able to state what's going on within them with a completely 100% attention and
Mm.
to what their concerns are. And where I come in is that a facilitator, I will know how to work the group so that everybody feels heard and that no one person dominates. I know how to step in and sort of move things along if something gets stuck.
Yeah.
I can tell when people are uncomfortable. I can tell, I mean, that's all the training that I have over the years. I can tell when things are need to go on, get back on track, or have gotten off track, or need a little extra.
Mm.
Um, and the group may decide they want a weekly theme, or it may just be a what's going on for you this week kind of conversation. It's going to depend on the participants and what their needs are.
I think this is lovely, and the sense I get with both the creating a sort of the possibility of a bonded group, a specific group. It's not drop in, so that brings immediately a new dynamic, doesn't it? That people are committed to being together at a certain time on an ongoing basis, as I understand it.
Well, it's possible for somebody new to join, but I wouldn't want it. The whole idea is not to have somebody pop in and pop out.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I think it is a way that it may take a little time to build, but my experience is yes, you want that commitment. You want not everybody's going to be able to make every group, but you definitely want to know that the people are there together.
yes,
There may come a point, I mean, it's open in the sense that people are able to join with that commitment. There may come a point, and this makes sense, that somebody says, "Oh, this was great, but I'm ready to move on. I'm
yeah,
good. I don't need this anymore," and that's fine. And there may be the other situation where somebody says, "This is good, but I really need more. I need
yeah,
to talk to somebody one on one." And I would be able to do that on a separate session with somebody one on one. And I have to be honest, I'm licensed in the States. I'm not licensed in Portugal. So we would do what I call a coaching session, but you would get all my experience of knowing whether you need more professional help or not, or whether the coaching could be enough.
Very good. And that's a wonderful service, isn't it? To have that overview that could signpost or indicate that a different kind of support or interventions required that you would know from your professional experience and background, in a way that I guess if it was peer-to-peer support, that might not happen. And I'd really like the idea that you have a chat with people, and I'm guessing you're making sure the group would work in some way by talking to people individually. I remember when I joined a men's group years ago, and the chap who was facilitating that said, I'll meet with you first just to see if it's going to work. And I was actually quite offended, because I was thinking, well, I'm fine in any group. But now I realize, it's important, isn't it? Because he had the overview of the different personalities in the group, and I guess he would be able to check if it was going to be a useful experience for me, because he knew what the group was like, and all I had was my assumptions about it. So you'd be having that check and balance as well before anyone got started.
It's also protective. I mean,
Right.
what we're looking for, the professional side of it is, some people have very serious issues.
Yes.
And what happens is, if I'm not assuming there's anybody like that, but I've had experience in the past where somebody comes in and, oh my God, they're pretty serious. And I'm not, the group is not enough of a container for that person.
Yep.
And so it gets very serious very quickly if a person has serious issues. And I can tell it very quickly if somebody does. And so that's my background. So I know I know it when I see it.
Yeah.
And there's no judgment. I just want everybody to understand, there will never be judgment. There'll be support. You'll get a resource. I'm going to get a list of resource. We can put that out there as a link, and so that I could suggest that they review the resource list and maybe use a person that is more capable in Portugal of providing extra professional support. And so nobody gets judged. It's not, you don't, you know, if somebody is really struggling, then it's best for them to get the right help.
That's great, and what a lovely safety that is that you'd be offering in that particular situation. And I think in the worst case scenario of moving abroad and up, I don't know if this is a verb, but upheavaling your life in a way that where you do find yourself in not very few people anticipate the difficulties that come in many ways. We I think we can be realistic, can't we, and know that life throws us curveballs, but it's difficult to be specific, and they're often not the things we think they're going to be. So what do you do when that happens? And how lovely to have like an overview or the sort of support you're looking at. And another aspect of this, I think, which is fascinating to me, having got involved in the whole expat immigrant foreigner thing, people moving to Portugal, is kind of embodied here in Pete's comment. Does it just have to be negative? Now, that's a kind of projection in a way, isn't it? I don't think anyone said this is going to be a negative process. If anything, what you're talking about is dealing with the reality of people's situations. Now, I can see how he's made the
It's not
connection.
negative at all. It's
Yeah, right.
there to encourage people and find ways, positive ways to move forward.
Yes.
There's no judgment, there's no criticism. That's not the purpose, and there's nothing negative about it. It's actually a wonderful thing that somebody says, "Hey, I'm struggling," and reaches out and tries to make a connection with
Absolutely.
others to because nobody, I mean, this is such a hard process. You can't go it alone. Uh, this is one of the hardest things anybody ever does in their life, and nobody's perfect. We're all messy. I mean, it really is true. When nobody is perfect, and there is nothing negative about it. It's just about being human.
Yes.
And and there's got to be a little compassion and you're in a strange world, and sometimes just being able to speak the language and speak your truth and your feelings is what's needed, because you're constantly in this strange world with a barrier of language between you and other people.
Yeah. Now we know some people thrive in that environment, and some people have quite a gung ho attitude to it. I'll just blast through it, and there are people who would say I am perfect and I don't need therapy. They're often the ones who do need therapy instead. But this is, again, like you say, this is not about the judgment or a diagnosis of people. This is a space to be authentic and vulnerable and face the things that might be occurring for you, and share the things and get support with the things that might be occurring for you, rather than not attending to them. What do you think happens? What's your observation of people who do not attend to things that are potentially difficult and don't get talked about? What, from a professional point of view, and as a therapist in a coaching role, what's your comment on that?
Well, it's kind of like I just had an image, and I get images. That's how I think sometimes. It's like anything, like an automobile, or like anything that there's a brewing problem.
Yes.
And you could nip it in the bud, just take it to the mechanic and get it done. But no, you think you can keep going with it, and then something else happens, and then something else happens. And the something else in people's lives are those other stressors. So it could be something that's brewing, and in optimal conditions, you're fine, you can manage. But what happens is, it's the multiple stressors that go along with it that start to erode one's ability to cope.
Yeah.
And then there are many ways people can choose. You can just completely shut it out of your life, or just detach from it, which means you're lost touch with yourself in some way,
Wow.
or it means that you get short with people, or it means that you start to withdraw because you can't handle it, or your relationships start to suffer, and like a lot of things can happen. And the worst part is the shame and the guilt that could come of it, because gee, we just moved to this wonderful place. I'm supposed to feel happy all the time.
Yes.
Everything's
Yes.
supposed to be great. And now I don't feel that way. Why don't I feel that way? Why am I having this kind of phase, and nothing feels right? And maybe I made a mistake. I mean, here's I'm giving you an idea of some of the thought process that could take place for people, where maybe it could be normalized. The beauty of a group is that other people can say and echo, oh, I feel that way too.
Yeah.
And then the wonderful thing about the group process is that keeps people from feeling alone.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. And types of people who might be interested, who it might be useful for. I can see if you're a single who moves alone, it might be useful to have other people to talk to in the way that you've described. If you're in a couple, it might also be very useful if you feel like it is a shameful thing to discuss with your partner. Like, this was meant to be our big dream, and I'm not feeling it in the same way as my partner is. That might be another useful, like a valid case as well, mightn't it?
Yeah, and that is a very good point. The couple could decide, hey, I need to go do this separate because they don't want to hurt each other.
Yeah.
And this person can come in and feel free to say those frustrations
Yeah.
without it being a wedge with the other person.
Yeah.
There are some truths that people do come to. This experience is very challenging, and you learn a lot about yourself. And maybe some of the things you're learning are things that are long buried, especially at our age. We're older adults, and there are a lot of things that could come to the surface now that maybe some of you're newly retired and you have that space now, and things start to come up a little bit, and you didn't even realize that those things are still with you after all these years. And so many things can happen. So it isn't negative. It isn't, doesn't mean you're ill. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. it's being human and being vulnerable, like you said, and it's about trying to make life work.
Amazing. In fact, it could be very positive. I mean, I'm aware of the dynamic you're talking about, but I hadn't seen that there might be an application for that in this instance. It's true, isn't it? When you retire and you're not as busy and there aren't so many distractions in your life, as well as creating the life you've designed on paper as your retirement and in your new country, those things can come up that haven't been attended to, can't they?
All
And
the time.
you
Yeah.
might proactively and positively embrace that, mightn't you? This is the moment to address those things in my life, for myself, and for my partnership and friendships and family.
Yeah. I mean, whatever vulnerabilities you came in with, this is what you've got. I mean, it's wherever you are, there you are,
Yes, absolutely.
it just because you're going to a new country uh doesn't mean life changes on that level.
Right.
Whatever's been brewing in you is going to stay with you, if
Yes.
even and get amplified at times.
Yeah, amazing. Or as I put it, there's the luggage. With the luggage comes the baggage, right? That it never, it never, it never stays in the country of origin, or not for long anyway.
Or
The
maybe you just are curious. Maybe
Yes,
you're having experiences you never had in your life, and they're new and they're unsettling. It doesn't
yes,
make it bad. It's just, I don't know what to do with this. This is
yeah.
something I've never experienced before. It could be something like that.
Oh, I love it. This is a wonderful service, and we'll talk. We'll have our Portugal Club meetup, which is our wine and wine session, which you're invited to. This won't be a therapy session. It won't be a version of what you're talking about, but people can get to ask you more questions if they want to in our informal
Right.
environment. But what more did you want to say, Aviva, about it?
I would like to say that I will, with you, and we can post it when everything is settled out, the exact start date, um, so that people can project. I'm looking at the end of May because I'll be away on a big trip, but I think the end of May is a good time to start. In the meantime, I'll also have contact information. People can start reaching out to me, um, and uh, and we can talk about what they would like to see for the
Mm,
group. And I'll include my email and other other information about the group. And my guess is that group will go for an hour, about an hour and a half, I think, depending on how many people are joining. And I'm anticipating it being once a week. But again, if the group, everybody decides they only want every other week,
yeah.
that's an option as well. And
Yes.
it's an evolving thing, because it's a new group, and this is how it starts. All new groups have a little growing to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Another dynamic of it. Sorry, just another thing that's occurred to me. I was having a chat with a younger person about a millennial about going to therapy, about having a therapist, and another aspect of this that we could learn from them, that age group, who seem to have a very different angle and handle on this than maybe the boomers and Gen X, is the having a place to take things to. Because I'm not sure we mentioned that specifically, but in the in the world of creating a new world as we are and a new life, it there's a lovely sense of relief, I think, to know that that's a bit of a struggle. I don't quite know what to do with that. I can
Mhm.
keep thinking about it, or I can ignore it. And with what you're talking about, it's like, well, I can take that to the group and I can discuss it. I can just offload it and compartmentalize it in a healthy way to talk about at another time. And that there is definitely something. I think this whole experience of being an expat, moving to a new country, is an amplifier, like money is, like alcohol is. I think being a foreigner is an amplifier. Your new experience amplifies everything. And what might have been a fairly easy thing to cope with, which is your assumption in your old life, when two or three of those things happen and pile up on top of each other. And I think you mentioned this. It
Mhm.
can it can be quite um undermining or devastating sometimes. And they can be seemingly very simple things, but they get amplified. And if you have a facility to say, okay, well, I can just park that up for now, and that's going to be for the group on whatever night it is, and we'll unpack it then. I think that's a lovely kind of way of organizing the mind as well.
Yeah, and I just want to say there will be a nominal fee to start. There will not be, I will not charge ongoing fees, just a nominal fee to start, just to make sure that everybody has kind of made a little commitment to the group. And then what could happen is if you like what's happening in the group, then again, I'm available for coaching after that situation. And it it's up to you what you want to do, how much you want to get out of it. And it's really my desire to give back to the group, to the community. I,
How
I feel
lovely.
I feel a need to be of service somewhere,
How
and this.
wonderful. Well, thank you for that. Oh, yes, you didn't mention that before, and that is a beautiful basis for this project. So thank you so much for chatting about it. We'll have a little bit more of an intimate gathering with our Portugal Club Gumpers in just a moment, and we'll all have the link for that. If you haven't got it and you want to join us as a Portugal Club member, just send me a WhatsApp message, and I'll make sure you've got it. Aviva, thank you so much. All the best to you, of course, in your life in Madeira and in Portugal, and thank you so much for doing this.
Okay, and do you want me to come into the next group?
Absolutely, would love you to be there. Would love you to be. I'll send you the link and I'll see you there. Thank you so
Okay,
much. All
okay.
right. Ciao, ciao. Thank
So
you so much. All right, I'll just play our little outro jingle just so people definitely know we're finishing, and we'll see you over there in the Google Meet.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts